Let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a genuinely fascinating explainer that digs deep into the human and, well, animal psyche. We've got two completely distinct stories that on the surface look like they're worlds apart. But trust me, they are deeply connected by one massive, powerful theme: the sheer courage it actually takes to take flight.
I mean, think about it. Since the earliest times, humans have literally dreamt of conquering the skies, right? But what happens when you are just too afraid to jump? It's a profound question for sure. It really strikes at the core of how fear works in our minds. It makes us look at those paralyzing, terrifying moments right before taking a leap of faith, whether you're jumping off an actual cliff or taking a metaphorical leap in your own life.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Conquering the skies. 2. The seagull's first flight. 3. Overcoming internal fear. 4. Lost in a storm. 5. The mysterious black airplane. And finally 6. Lessons in courage. Let's do this.
Starting off with Section 1, Conquering the Skies, the NCERT dual story masterpiece.
So we're zooming in on Chapter 3, two stories about flying. And what's super cool here is how this single chapter stitches together two incredibly different tales. Part 1 is His First Flight by Liam O'Flaherty, and Part 2 is Black Airplane by Frederick Forsyth. We're talking two totally different authors, completely different settings, but wrapped up in that one big overarching theme of conquering the skies.
Moving to Section 2, The Seagull's First Flight, a tale of instinct and fear.
To really get why our protagonist is so stuck, you have to picture the physical barrier here. It's a ledge, just a narrow, horizontal shelf sticking out from a massive cliff. Our young seagull is trapped there, and whenever he takes a little run forward to the edge, he sees the vast, endless sea stretching for miles straight down. It absolutely terrifies him. He is 100% convinced his wings are just going to fail him, so he scampers right back to his little hole to hide.
Let's look at the timeline of his isolation here, because the pressure is seriously building. 24 hours ago, his family just left him, entirely alone. And the day before that, he had to sit there and watch his parents perfectly teach his siblings how to fly, skimming waves, diving for fish, the whole shebang. All morning today, his family has been pacing on the opposite plateau, literally taunting him for being a coward. And now? Well, the sun is absolutely blazing, and he is starving. He hasn't had a single bite since the night before.
And that brings us to the ultimate turning point. The sight of the food maddened him. His mother actually flies across toward him with a piece of fish, but right at the last second, she stops just out of reach. He waits a second, totally shocked, and then, just completely maddened by that intense hunger, sheer raw instinct completely overrides his paralyzing fear. He dives right at the fish.
With a loud scream, he falls outwards and straight down into empty space. You can imagine, right? A monstrous, heart-stopping terror seizes him. He can't hear a thing. But that terror only lasts about a minute. Because the very next moment, he feels his wings spread out. He feels the wind rushing against his breast feathers. He's no longer just plummeting headlong. He is actually soaring. He did it. He finally conquered the sky.
Okay, into Section 3, Overcoming Internal Fear, breaking down the character sketch.
Let's actually break down the methodical steps that led to his success. First off, we have his fear, which is entirely rooted in a massive lack of confidence. Next, the push, that tough love encouragement from his family leaving him alone. Third, hunger. Hunger acts as this ultimate, unavoidable motivator that forces his hand. And finally, the first flight itself, where that intense fear morphs into the pure joy of freedom. Overcoming that mental block was absolutely crucial. It was the essential first step to unlocking a natural talent he literally didn't even know he had.
Which brings us to Section 4, Lost in the Storm, a pilot's risky choice. Now notice how the tension builds here through pure juxtaposition. Our pilot starts his trip to England in this perfectly clear night sky. The moon is up, the stars are shining brightly. It's just this easy, peaceful flight over the sleepy French countryside. But then, out of nowhere, that peacefulness is totally shattered. Huge storm clouds appear, looking like massive black mountains standing right in his path. In a split second, an easy flight turns into a literal life-threatening nightmare.
So, 150. The pilot was exactly 150 kilometers past Paris when he hit those black mountain clouds. He didn't have enough fuel to fly around them north or south. What he should have done was turn back to Paris, right? But he's totally tempted by the dream of being home, having this big, warm English breakfast with his family. So he takes a massive, crazy risk and flies his old Dakota airplane straight into the storm.
Once he's inside those clouds, everything instantly goes pitch black. The old plane is jumping and violently twisting in the air, and the sequence of failures here is terrifyingly fast. Step 1, total blinding darkness. Step 2, he glances down at his compass and it is just spinning round and round. It's completely dead. Step 3, he grabs the radio. Paris control, can you hear me? Nothing. Total silence. The radio is dead too. He is flying blind, with 0 instruments, completely lost in a massive storm.
All right, Section 5, the mysterious black airplane, guidance in the dark. Suddenly, right there in the black clouds, he spots another airplane flying right next to him. It doesn't have any lights on its wings, but he can clearly see the pilot's face. The stranger just lifts a hand and waves, mouthing, "Follow me." And our narrator, obviously flooded with relief at seeing another human being, acts almost like an obedient kid. He just follows this weird unlit plane straight north. He follows him for a half an hour. That is, until a brand new terror kicks in. His Dakota only has enough fuel left to stay in the air for maybe 5 or 10 more minutes.
Now for Section 6, Lessons in Courage, Analyzing the Parallels. When we put these stories side by side to look at the parallels, it's wild. Both of these characters risk their absolute lives to conquer the skies. But look at the why and the what here. For the young seagull, the obstacle was 100% internal fear, represented by that physical ledge, and his motivator was pure, undeniable animal instinct. He was maddened by hunger. But for the Dakota pilot, his obstacle was a completely external physical danger, the storm, and his motivator was just a simple human comfort, dreaming of a holiday and a good English breakfast. Yet both of them had to be pushed right to the absolute brink of disaster to find safety.
But guys, there is one final massive twist to the pilot's story. He manages to land the Dakota safely, right? He walks straight into the control center and asks the woman at the desk who that other pilot was so he could go thank him. She just looks at him super strangely, lets out a little laugh, and drops this chilling quote. "Another aeroplane? Up there in this storm? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar." He was completely, utterly alone in the sky.
So that leaves us with this incredible, lingering, unsolved mystery. Who or what was a pilot on that strange black airplane flying in a deadly storm with no lights? Was it just a hallucination brought on by sheer panic and desperation? Was it his own subconscious mind somehow guiding him to safety? Or did some other kind of miracle happen up there? I highly encourage you to go revisit the text and decide for yourself what truly happened in the dark. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, keep conquering your own skies.